Anybody here for the first time today? Please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome. Glad you're here. I hope this turns out to be a really important moment for you. Ah, yes, that's the moment I walked into PIMC. I was willing to put the time in to fiddle with the internet because by a week or two from now, more people will have viewed this on the internet than are here in the room. So it's an important part of our reach. So, I really am glad to be here with you this morning, and I've been, in a way, been preparing today's Dharma talk for years, and some things came clear in the last couple of weeks, and in particular, some of you, I spoke a couple of weeks ago about the pale blue dot, which I had never heard of before. It's Carl Sagan's pale blue dot, which is a picture of the Earth from 4 billion miles away. And if I can get everything together, we're going to have a picture of that, a slide picture up. But the fact of us sitting here is real, isn't it? It's also stunningly temporary. And the Buddha's teaching on impermanence, that everything is impermanent, it's easy to hear it intellectually, and I've been teaching it 45 years. But the truth of it is sinking in, it's coming to a new level for me. Because what it means is that everything is impermanent. And that everything about which we worry and create is actually some sort of insane. Because it's all just passing through. And in the Tibetan world, they talk about it being a dream. There's a way that's true. And yet, it's so real and so sensitive, and we get hurt so easily, and we hurt each other so easily. And the entirety of the Buddha's teaching is about the recognition of this form is emptiness, emptiness is form, this polarity. That there's a level, this human relative level, where our individuality is of utmost importance. And there's a level of space dust where none of it really is a problem at all. And to learn to live with at least an intuition of the latter is tremendously liberating, because then we realize how out of control everything is, completely out of control. And all that extra suffering we do because I didn't want it to go like this, it's all delusion. So I'll come back to that. But in the meantime, let us join together and sing the refuges. What makes sense? In what does taking refuge make any sense? Is it in stuff? Is it in health? Is it in our children or our non-children? Is it in relationship? Is it in politics? Is it in government? Is it in the next great vacation? Is it in the what can we take refuge in? The big house, the small house. And what it's come down to us over 2,600 years, that the thing it makes sense to take refuge in is being awake, of becoming that which knows. So that's the refuge in the Buddha. And it doesn't have to be the word Buddha. It could be Kuan Yin or Jesus or higher power or mystery. But the tradition in Buddhism is I take refuge in the Buddha. And then when one is awake, what do we notice? What do the sense doors present for us? What truths show? The Four Noble Truths and the truth of impermanence. that take refuge in reality, the laws of physics, the laws of chemistry. So that's the refuge in the Dharma. And then refuge in Sangha is in this community of life that we're part of. Right? The great Sangha of life on earth. And then there's the more traditional, the lineage of those who've gone before us and actually had some realization of this incredible freedom, which is remembering that which we truly are. So I invite you to join me in this, and I like to call it, please turn to your hymnal, to hymn number 1. It's also hymn number 10, 20, and 30. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Once more, I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Hello to those of you joining us out there in internet land. It's a little close. So where is it that we find ourselves? Where and when? It's always here and now, because there isn't anything else. So, taking a comfortable upright posture, and withdrawing our energy and attention from our usual activities, the activities of survival and entertainment and acquisition, fulfilling our responsibilities to others. having a time, this time, for yourself. This time to be yourself. It's not a time to become somebody different or transform ourselves or fix ourselves. Instead, it's an opportunity to just land and wake up. And the Buddhist teachings are I guess there's really no adequate adjective. They are a comprehensive map for what to do to facilitate this waking up. What it is, what to do to increase the probability of being awake, really awake. And among the recommendations are to go to a quiet place, to sit comfortably upright, and to practice mindfulness of the body, and particularly of the breathing. And what does that mean practically? It's to use this remarkable capacity of awareness, a miracle of awareness, to come into direct, intimate contact with breathing in and breathing out. And there's nothing to make up in this, to create. It's simply to notice that, in fact, this living organism breathes in and breathes out. It's been doing this since the moment of your birth and will continue until, on an exhale, you will expire and then vanish. And our intention or need isn't to control the breath in any way. But it is to become remarkably intimate with the beginning, middle, and ending of each breath. On this little speck of a world, There's lots of things happening. Tectonic plates are shifting. Continents are actually moving. Day comes and day goes. Seasons come and seasons go. The weather changes, the climate changes over time. Nations come into being and disappear. This is the outer weather. There's also the inner weather, which is all the biological processes of a body. And all the activities of the mind. And so we have this training regimen, this coming home to the breath. And we use this in order to have a central point, a training object. And then we can observe everything else that happens. Mind wanders off. It has its familiar stories, which are our personality. It has its emotions, its storytelling, its creation of the past and the future as concepts, experiences in the present moment. So we're really not trying to get rid of all that. Over time, the realization is that there's no need to get rid of any of it, because none of it is personal. But there's a strategy, a training methodology, which has to do with come home to the sensations of breathing whenever you can. When you wake up in the midst of wandering minds, cherish that waking up. That's big. That's the waking up. Come home to your breath. What if it's true that all that exists in our experience is now? That means there are these sensations in the body now. There are these thoughts and wandering minds, memories of a past or a future, and they are now. Emotions are now. What if we could simply rest in being awake to this that is extant now? Breathing in, breathing out. And really attending with great affection, in a way, great warmth to the way this breath emerges out of no thingness. It does not exist, and then it does. Comes to fullness, and then declines, and then vanishes again. If this presentness is in fact what exists, then we discover that we're not meditating to be a better person in the future or to get, quote, enlightened in the future. There is no future. There's just now. That's such a relief. Oh, I can just be here. a next instruction in the mindfulness teachings is to become more and more interested in all the details of the breath. Is it long? Is it short? Is it choppy? Is there a pause between? And then another step, which is to realize experientially that the breath exists in a context. There's a body here. And this body is actually clouds of sensation. All the way from the toes to the legs, to the pelvis, to the torso, to the arms and hands and head. It's life. Life manifesting. So we can, if the mind is stable enough, certainly in time, practice by being aware of the breath in its living context, the body. It is a life-changing and revolutionary act to pause and become curious about the mind itself, to become curious about the impermanent nature of the body, and to study it with some intensity. In what we would call, or could call, meditation. It's a very natural act to be curious, to be inquisitive, to be analytical. And while it might be nice to abide here for another hour or two, we have other things to do here this morning. So please really tune in for this moment on the contact of your body with the chair or the cushion or the floor. Take another conscious breath or two. And then notice if your body would like to stretch. Like it's kind of feeling cramped or something. And very slowly, very mindfully, let it do this stretch even before you let your eyes open. Feel the movement, feel the tightnesses. Then when you're ready, notice what it takes to let your eyes open. It takes an intention and then some effort, and then the eyes will open. And then there's seeing. Seeing that we take for granted. Of course it isn't. We didn't even have to ride in a plane for 17 hours to get to an island in the South Pacific in order to relax. It's right here. Not that there's anything wrong with a nice warm beach in December, but there's this all the time. So dear friends out there in internet land, I'm going to end this broadcast and see if our friends up in the choir loft can get the main stream going. If that doesn't get going, I'll join you back here a little after 11. Thanks for hanging in.